Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Hope you're all doing well. Hope those of you in the States, if you are observing it, are having a good weekend. Few things to get through today. So please do hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button also, because I only need about 500 more subscribers to get to 40,000. I can't believe we're almost at 40,000. I mean, after what, 3 years? Thank you, everyone. You are so much appreciated. It's been a very long journey, and a lot of that journey has literally been me also journeying. So I appreciate all of you who have, jumped on, stayed, and you listen day in and day out. Sorry, I literally just forgot. Sorry, I literally just remembered. I think I forgot to actually say what it is our American friends are observing. It's Labor Day. I think I said something like, "Oh, if you're observing," but I didn't say exactly what. It's Labor Day. If you're observing Labor Day. I hope you're enjoying it. I did get a message from one squaddy who said she's been cooking all day and painting. Right, let's get into it, shall we? Yeah. Some rather interesting things, both from our royals and overseas royals. Got some overseas royals news as well. Oh, I think Lightside might want to join. So Lightside, there is the link. This is for Lightside only. If you'd like to come up and speak. Okay. Let's start with some other news stories before we get into that. Yes, of course, yesterday was the 27th anniversary of the passing of Princess Diana. And it was just one of those moments where, you definitely remember where you were, especially if you were in the United Kingdom. That whole week was a really just earth-shattering week for our country, because she was such a big figure, but even internationally as well, because of all of the charitable work that Diana did, all of the things that she brought awareness to, and just the way that she connected with people. There is a really good documentary that I have recommended before. So if you haven't gone and checked it out, it's called The 7 Days That Shook Britain. And it's all about what basically happened after Diana passed away. And, just the reaction of her death, how feelings towards the royal family changed, and also how people started to look a little bit more at the press and their actions. Sad to say, 27 years later, a lot hasn't changed. In fact, in some ways, it's like they feel even more emboldened, especially with social media. But at least people in general are starting to have more conversations about it. And I think, it's unfortunate that we still don't have mechanisms for more press accountability. And to be clear, it's not about controlling the press, it's about holding them accountable and them recognizing the responsibility that they have to be in the powerful position that they're in to shape people's minds and ideas. So that's something that I always reflect on whenever, we have a conversation about Diana. It's interesting, Henry VIII on Twitter posed the question, what do you think would have been different if Diana hadn't passed in 1997? It's difficult to really know or even answer that question, because I feel like both for what do they call it when like a certain event like triggers other things, or if that event had never happened, you don't know if it would have triggered. I think there's like a term for it. I don't know if it's like, is it the butterfly effect or the something effect? So yeah, I just think it's difficult to know. Diana had such a big impact when she was alive, but she also left quite a big vacuum when she passed away. Not in the lives of the public, socially in the United Kingdom, politically, and also in the lives of her sons and everybody within the royal institution. So do I think a lot would have been different? Yes, but I'm not going to sit here and try and play fortune teller and try and guess what I think exactly would have been different, because it's just difficult to tell. So, some people say if Diana was still here, William wouldn't have married Kate. Kate's family wouldn't have been able to weasel their way into the monarchy. That maybe the boys would have gone to live in America with her. I'm not quite sure about that. Maybe Harry, but definitely not William, because he is the heir. Difficult to tell. Okay. Next thing I wanted to mention, thank you so much to the Indian squaddy who sent me this. Spare in a bookstore in India. Great to see it making an appearance in other countries and on bookshelves in countries around the world. Now, I was traveling all of last year and I saw it in bookstores at different airports. So even if the UK press put out one narrative, Harry, in his own words, is being heard far and wide in different countries, different languages, and of course the paperback is coming very soon towards the end of the. It says, Louisa, sorry. Okay, so sound has gone. Is it okay now? Maybe I need to. Should I? Maybe I need to move. Give us. Just give me like a signal on what's happening with the sound. It's back now. Okay, I do think the sound was a little bit shaky there. Sorry, I lost my trail of thought there. So yeah, their relationship did raise quite a few eyebrows because of the professions that they both chose, and then obviously the fact that Jurek is a black man marrying into this white institution. But as far as the families go, it would seem that they've just kind of tried to keep things as friendly and as welcoming as possible. To their credit, some people feel that they don't really agree with what they do, her being a clairvoyant and him being a shaman, but they both do earn their own money independently. Some people were accusing him of being a gold digger, which I don't know. I wouldn't say that was, from what I know, true, because it seems like he earns a living and always has, even before they got together. And I think there was also some controversy because I think she had lost her partner and they got together quite quickly. But despite all of the criticism, and I actually did a video on them earlier, which I think Jurek actually commented on. For all the criticism and controversy, they just seem to be a very happy and in love couple. And every time I have seen them, they seem really happy and in love. So it's unfortunate that they have gotten so much criticism, because they honestly just seem very happy to me. I haven't really seen anything that would suggest otherwise. And just because you don't maybe agree with someone's profession or spiritual beliefs, it doesn't necessarily say anything about their relationship. So wishing them the best, wishing them all the happiness. If they've made it, through all the criticism that they have had thrown at them, I think they'll be cool. And huge contrast in what we saw with Harry and Meghan and what we continue to see, especially when it comes to the fact that they are an interracial couple. But I think just the other European royals, I think they just, even if there are differences of opinions and dramas within the family, I think for the most part, they try to keep things, very contained. You don't have the type of press that they have in those countries. So I think they've, just managed to keep things in order. I am going to let Lightside into the chat now. She is patiently waiting. So you can come up, Lightside, if you want to say anything about this or anything else as we move forward.
Oh, no, just enjoying the updates in regards to this couple. I did see that they got married and that they were still having, well, some people were still having their say in the fact that they were together still. I honestly, if he's a shaman and she's a clairvoyant, they seem to be a perfect couple. I don't have anything else to
Yeah.
say about.
Yeah, right. I mean, who else were they meant to date? Like they just
Right.
seem made for each other.
You cannot make this up. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a look. It seems like it was meant to be. And you said that they're happy every time. I don't keep up with these two. I know that you've mentioned them in the past and that they've been dating. And is the guy from the States or is he from another country? I thought I read something
Yeah,
that they. Okay.
he
Yeah.
is from the States.
Hmm. Yeah. So I don't have anything as long as they're happy. It's like in this day and time, if any of us is so blessed to find someone that cares about us as much as we see some of these couples sharing love and admiration for each other, I think why not go for it? Like who cares about
Mhm.
what anyone else says? And I wish them the best. And yeah, I don't, you know what? Part of me was wondering when you were talking if the because she's from a royal family also, right? I think that's correct.
Yeah.
um if do you think there might be some kind of like learning component from what they saw with the high stake favorite Prince Harry and his wife Meghan and seeing how things unfolded with them, and maybe do you think there's any internal kind of like processing of how the optics of that would look with that royal family at all, or do you think it's completely separate?
Oh, 100%. I think a lot of these other royal households would have learned something from the way this all unfolded, and being, that he's a black man. I think they would have wanted to be a lot more mindful of how he's being treated, how that would look to the wider public for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yep.
Alrighty, on to the next thing. Just a slight segue, but it definitely keeps in line with a lot of what we say about the press um here in the UK. Carol Voldemort, who's quite a well-known television presenter. I've never really known her to be problematic. I don't know if she's ever said anything about Harry and Meghan, but she's generally, I don't know her to be a very problematic person. And she gave a very interesting speech at the Edinburgh TV Festival. She said quite a few things. Where she talked about the TV industry and why no one is watching news and the lack of trust. So here was a couple of the things that she actually mentioned. That about half of Britain considers itself to be from a working class background, and yet only 8% of those who get jobs in television are from the same background. And especially when you're talking about news and media, that definitely feeds into the culture that we see, especially at the top, the most powerful media organizations, both in print and on television. She also said interest in the news in the UK has halved since 2015. Trust in the news has fallen from 51% pre-Brexit to just 36% now. The report stated that those choosing to selectively avoid the news often do so because they feel powerless. Yes. And you have to even wonder now how much of it is news or just misinformation. There has been a lot of distrust of mainstream media. Some of that is down to them, and I do think they need to take some blame. I do think they need to take some blame. some of it has just been, I think, because of a lot of this kind of like new online media, the misinformation that is getting shared around, people kind of forming in their own news bubble. So I think it's a mixture of both. There's a lot that mainstream media have done to feed into that, but there's also things that I think mainstream media could do to actually reverse some of that and build trust again. It definitely doesn't help when you've got, situations like with the Washington Post, somebody like Will Lewis being put into power when we know the dealings that he's had with Rupert Murdoch. Things like that break down trust in mainstream media. So what do people do? They go online, they go to alternative news sources, which aren't necessarily always wrong, but it's very easy to get caught up in misinformation when you start going down like rabbit holes. And that's we can see how that caused a huge issue, for example, with the riots recently, and also in the US with January 6th and all of that. So she also says, after 14 years of austerity and lying by the privileged political class, this country is in an absolute mess, and the TV industry must accept part of responsibility for that, including the riots. Exactly. She also said that a 2022 Reuters Institute digital news report found that trust in the BBC had fallen by 20 percentage points over the 5 years from 2018, and distrust in the BBC had grown from 11% to 26%. Well, can you blame anyone when they seem to consistently hire abusers, pedos, weirdos? The way they came after anybody who criticized Hugh Edwards, how dare you, because his mental health was struggling, only then, to then find out that they knew that he had allegations against him. People had come forward, they continued to pay him his £400,000, and they were protecting him. So clearly, no lessons from Savile. But you expect people to trust you. How? This is how people end up going down rabbit holes. And I'm not saying that it's right, but there has to be some responsibility taken. Can we always blame people when that happens? If the people that we have been told to trust are completely untrustworthy. And again, like I said, I think this can be reversed. I think mainstream media can take responsibility for where they have faltered, but they need to do it quickly. She also said, according to the first report of its kind, Sage Journals recently, here's a checklist to get into the creative industries as a whole. If you are from London, if you are born into an upper middle class managerial family, particularly if you are born with the one thing which grants you greater talent and more insight and creative juices. If you have the one thing above all other things, a peen, it means you're usually more than 4 times given, it means you have more than 4 times opportunity of entry than all others. And you could probably also throw race into as well as gender. So I do think things have gotten better in media as far as representation goes, but we could do better. But certainly the issue of class and your background and where you come from plays a huge, huge part. And it shapes what we see and hear in the media. It shapes the reason why we have this. Segue on to the next part. Lightside, I know you had a lot to say about this. I'm going to let you speak. But basically, we have gone round, the merry-go-round that we always go around when the press are peeved off that they've been blindsided, and when they need to come up with something about Harry and Meghan, and they usually go back to one of the following things. Meghan is a bully, Meghan is a narcissist, or Harry and Meghan are going broke and they're failing, or Harry's plotting a return. So this time we've gone back to Harry's plotting a return. These people did not even know that Harry had landed in the UK and gone to a funeral service. They didn't know that Harry had gone scuba diving with manta rays in Hawaii. They didn't know about Meghan's 5 venture capital fashion investments. We actually currently only know of 2. We don't know what the other 3 are. There's so much that's come out. They didn't know that Harry and Meghan had bought a whole property. literally don't know anything. And this is them right in the middle. Staying Delulu is a Delulu. If we stay Delulu, then maybe people will continue to believe our lies. If we stay Delulu, maybe Harry, sound has gone. If we stay Delulu, maybe Harry will come back. If we stay Delulu, just keep pumping out the lies, and the money that we were hoping to enjoy will start flooding in. No, Harry and Meghan are gone. You don't have access to them. And I don't know when they're actually going to stop, if ever, posting articles like this, because this is for the derangers and the deluded. The deluded making headlines for the delusional. Light side?
Hey, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. You went out there for a little bit, but then you came back. I'm not sure what's going on today, if there's a weather thing, but I see Julia made a comment in the chat, but you're good now. So I want to say something really quickly about the media really quick before I talk about this whole situation with the delusional UK tabloid press, which they're eating their own tail at this point, right? But so here's the thing. I find it really fascinating that some of the stuff that you mentioned in regards to the media, and you rightfully said they hold some responsibility as well. We know that there's a huge machine behind the publications that are put out for people to read. And I hope people do not take this the wrong way, but sometimes when, let me give an example. We as Sussex Squad supporters, we as Harry and Meghan supporters, we hear more about them. We pay more attention to what's going on with them. We do our research to figure out what the truth is and what isn't. We are more versed on Harry and Meghan than maybe some people just coming into the fold, not understanding the history of what has happened, bringing them to where they are right now. And so I think, like with the media, the responsibility from a journalistic standpoint, and I use that word very carefully, from a journalistic standpoint and position, as a journalist, your job is to deliver information that is objective, that relays on truth, that has facts supporting it, so that the individuals that are taking in that information and processing it can get the correct information that they need to, right? But at some point, and I honestly believe that this has been a slow build for a very long time, especially when they figured out that monetization of certain types of information, namely tabloid information, brings in more money, right? Because we already decided that a lot of these UK tabloids, they're being pushed out because they know people maybe will gravitate towards that information, whether it's truth or not. It doesn't matter anymore. So the journalists have failed. The journalists have failed, and even those that claim to be upright and are supposed to be doing the correct thing, they're under the umbrella of the CEOs that run that entire machine. I'm going to speak from an American standpoint. CNN, MSNBC, all those mainstream media sources right now, the mirroring of what's happening in the UK is happening here. And as you said, the disinformation that's going on, that is really a big deal, especially now in this time that we're going into politics and in election season. They have a huge say in what information gets put out. And the thing is that people like you and me, and maybe a lot of people on this podcast, we know how to maybe go in and look up certain things and say, no, that's not right. I remember this person did this X, Y, and Z, and I know I saw an article here, and this doesn't make sense. Why are they saying two different things? Or why is the Washington Post and the New York Wall Street Journal or New York Times all having the same headlines, almost like the UK press? Something isn't right. We can pull ourselves out and say, no, this doesn't seem like it is the correct information. It seems like they have a agenda, right? But a lot of people aren't as versed as we are. A lot of people don't know how to tweeze that information out. And so what you end up having in the case of the Sussexes and Harry and Meghan and just regular everyday people, the information source that they used to rely on that should be reliable are no longer sources that you can rely on, and they do not know that. They don't know that. So they're taking in information still with the idea that is correct. And so I'm not
Yeah.
saying that, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you know, you would think that people would do their due diligence and just stop and go, okay, you know, I'm reading this piece of information. Why is this piece of information being fed to me? Who is feeding this information to me?
Mm-hmm.
Who is at the top of the chain
Right.
of this information that is being fed to me? But that takes a certain level of critical thinking and, you know, media awareness that isn't taught anywhere really. And for me personally, actually, it's only this situation with Harry and Meghan, I think, that has made me a lot more diligent. You know, I grew up
Mm-hmm.
with UK tabloid culture, thinking that it was the norm, and it actually took this to get me to, you know, snap out of this almost like daydream. Because
Yeah.
with the British tabloids, the tabloids here are the news. There's no distinction, like in the US, between, like, you know, tabloid news and actual news. But even the actual news or official news in itself, you know, has become very tabloidy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you watch them sometimes and you say, "Are you kidding me? Did you just ask that question?" Or why is the focus on this topic when we have stuff going on in Sudan, when we have genocides going on, when we have people starving from famine, when we have floods and you know global weather issues that are happening? Like they're more important things, but it's all a distraction, right? The whole point is distracting us from actually stepping back and thinking about what's important. And you're absolutely right. What you said just now is media literacy. Media literacy is something that is not common sense. And it's something that's overlooked and assumed to be generally safe, right? And I think we're getting to a point of reckoning in the sense that you know the stuff that you talked about, where there's X amount of years. I imagine it's more than 14 years that this has been going on. That there's some responsibility and onerous on the individuals that are pushing all this disinformation and misinformation to actually pay for what they did. The same thing is happening here in the US. You know, the people are more people are waking up and are more attuned to the fact that you have what now an AI, you know, generated images and voices that are being perpetrated to deliver certain types of information. So I think more people are waking up to that. And I think we have a long road to go. And as long as you have a population of people, doesn't matter which country, that don't have access to, as you said, the learning component of critically being able to think and tweet and pull apart certain pieces of information that are put out, you may always run into the issue of someone getting the information wrong. You know, so I try to have a little bit of grace with some people. There's certain things that you can easily Google and look up, but there's certain things that you and I both know, and some of us on this podcast right now listening know that it takes a little more of a puzzling things together and trying to like figure out where the strings are connected, you know, to see that there's a pattern being put out. But that's all I'm gonna say on that. Yes, in regards to your current topic, in regards to the new headlines coming out, being pushed about um what Harry wanting to come back to UK.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Tell
I
me,
had to
tell me.
just laugh. um, I know you guys already see this, but you know, I was talking to Anna earlier, and I said to her, I said, you know what, I'm gonna really sit down and put some energy into trying to figure out a timeline for the releases from when Megan is we get tidbits of when Megan's going to be releasing her brand, or when they're going to show up at some certain events, or when they're going to be hosted by certain dignitaries in certain countries, or going to be on certain television programs handing out awards or receiving awards or whatever the situation. I'm going to go through and look at those dates, and almost guarantee that there's going to be a parallel to some UK tabloid
Yeah.
release tying Kate or William or Prince Charles into the fold. What is the rumor, and I don't know how this started and what the first one was, but the latest one I saw was, we all know he slipped in and out. Like I said, if in and out was a person, it would be Harry. Because the way that he just is ninja like going in and out, it's lovely to see that. But he's been going about his business, doing his thing, handling whatever he needs to handle. Clearly, as you said, that he still has relationships with his family, so he shows up and they're happy to see him. But it's burning them up to see that this man is still functioning. And so when you have friends who know Harry and Meghan in California saying, oh, they're doing well, they're settling into their life in Montecito and things are going well and they're happy, they're well adjusted, all of a sudden you see a counter release saying he wants in, and a friend of a friend who knew Harry from way back is saying that he's really not happy and the optics are, as it is. And I sent you something while you were doing the podcast. I don't know if you saw, but you always mention on this podcast how they're living in a gilded cage, right? On the other side of the pond. And it's funny how that was the exact word that was used to describe Harry, that the friend apparently, quote unquote, said that he's living a gilded life in Montecito, meaning that he's not happy where he is. And I think that's really funny that for them to say that. So I don't know. It's ridiculous at this point. And I think that because they have nothing to go off of, because they're not being fed any information, you said in the prior podcast that there were some people trying to get access to certain things. And it sounded like they were literally
Yeah.
stalkers that were being held back by 3 levels of security, from getting any closer than they should.
Yeah, I mean, flying, all the way to another country to go and see people that you thought, oh, sorry, that you continuously say, are irrelevant, and then only to be denied. I also think there's maybe some panic in the tabloid newsrooms, because in the first place, I believe what was offered to the tabloids was that, um if you we'll let you trash Harry and Meghan, use them as a shield, get your clicks, and that's how you make your money. If you protect us also at the same time. So that was like the deal that was done. Harry and Meghan get used as a shield. William and Kate and all the other royals get protected, and that's just how it's going to be moving forward, because that's pretty much how it's always been. The spare gets used as a shield, and now the shield, also the moneymaker, is now gone. So I wonder if there's a little bit of pressure on William, because where were the leaks coming from? They were coming from inside the house. Well, now there's no leaks because they have no access.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And and I said this to you earlier, like it's really nefarious when you think about it that way, to say that, we're going to offer you up. I'm gonna speak as if I'm William. I'm going to offer you my brother and his wife as a deal so that you can stay off my back and my kids' back, so that you can have your sources of headlines when you want, and you can do whatever you want, invade their privacy however much you want, say whatever you need to say about them, to cause havoc and psychological harm. I don't care. That's why he's there. He's there to serve me and be my backup. And so that's what he's going to do. And all of a sudden, your quote unquote spare, your backup decides, no, I'm not playing this game anymore. And my wife, I'm not going to have her go through that. And any future progeny that I have, I definitely don't want that for them. And he's making a decision. He separated himself from what the other one thought was a one-shot deal, right? And he moved away from that. And not only did he move away, he's thriving. And now what you have is, you don't have anything else to offer this person. Now you are in the spotlight. You don't have one spotlight on you, you have multiple spotlights on you. Because not only do you not have your backup, your brother, your younger brother, to cover you, not only do you not have his wife to beat up on and to abuse, but your father is in a situation right now that none of us know what the state is for him. The clock is ticking on that one. Now you really have to step up and show what you got, and what, as you said earlier, what is happening is he has nothing to offer them. There's nothing there whatsoever. He's not interesting. He's not doing anything that is enlightening anyone around him, or moving the buck forward with the royal family. He is supposed to be the it generation right now, the current everything that the royals need to step into the next, decade or two. And he doesn't have it. He's lacking. And what you're seeing as a result in these tabloids is his emotional outbursts being personified in these lying words that are published, saying that his brother is X, Y, and Z, and his wife is filing for a divorce, quote unquote. Like these are all rumors. Please do not take this as like facts, anyone coming in and listening. But they're planting these seeds and their lies and trying to create mishap in Harry and Meghan's life, because they have nothing else to go on. Nothing is sticking whatsoever, and they're scrambling. And I don't want to say I feel bad for them, but they have a lot to worry about going into the next year. A lot to worry about over the next couple of months.
Absolutely. And I think you've hit the nail on the head with everything you've said. And, yes, William, he doesn't really have anything to offer the press, but the whole point with the royals all along was you didn't really have to have anything to offer. Like, you were just meant to kind of just exist, and people were, fascinated by your existence. But that was then, and this is now, and they haven't evolved. But thank you so much, Lightside, for your contributions. Rahini, I'm gonna let you speak. Also, thank you to Maggie Margaret for the 5 coffees. Very generous of you. Thank you. And also to Church Nelly for being a member for 22 months. Thank you, Church Nelly. Appreciate you so much for being a member and being an incredible moderator. Much appreciated. Okay, Rahini.
Hi, Squaddies. How you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, can hear you.
I am here seething, right? I am, because
See the way.
I am seething. Because here's the thing. Oh boy, okay. So when you understand the concept of the freedom of the press, right? You understand that the press is supposed to be the voice of the people, right? So we are supposed to be able to trust the voice. Do you know how frightening and stressful it is if you cannot trust your own voice? How are you trusting your own voice? They're supposed to speak for you. And when people talk about this concept of media literacy, I get incredibly angry, because I should not have to have media literacy, because it is the purpose of the media to bring pertinent information to me in a way that I could understand, to speak my language, right? And if in the midst of all of that, in the midst of all of that, there's a few entertaining things that you tell me, I can understand. But the idea that I now have to have a degree to simply understand what is going on in the world is incredibly frustrating to me. I think it is preposterous, and I think we're being sold a 6 for 9. It is incredibly frustrating. People say people need to be media savvy and media literate. No, I'm not supposed to be. The media is there to tell me the truth. The media is not supposed to lie. I'm very sorry. They're not supposed to lie. And from the minute you start doing that, then you're no longer the media. Then you're just a propaganda machine. You're just an extension, just an arm of whether it is big business or the government, or in this case, the elitist, maybe white supremacist society, that is pushing this onto me. I am at a major disadvantage because I cannot trust my own voice, and that annoys the hell out of me. I should not have to go to university to simply be able to pick up the newspaper and get adequate information. I should not at all.
That is that's a very interesting point. Lightside, did you want to say anything?
Yeah. So, like, Rini, I get your frustration. I 100% understand. I think you are vocalizing a lot of what the general population who for years have picked up the newspaper to get their information, recently have gone online to get their information, now goes on social media to get their information. I think that is how do I want to describe this? It is almost like the transitioning from going from not being able to have internet to now going to fast speed internet, right? Because there is a certain level of translation that happens in between that period that no one told you you were going to have to be able to do. Yes, historically, as journalism was set out in the beginning, journalists were the medium for the people to rely on, and they reported on the big shots and the people with money and the powerhouses, and made sure that the regular folks like you and me were getting the correct information. However, it has become a propaganda. And you said that just now, that for me to like sit in this position and now have to maybe potentially have a degree to understand what is happening out there, it doesn't make sense, and it shouldn't have to be that way, because they should do their job. They should just do the right thing. The problem is humans are flawed, and when you pair humans that are flawed under a system that is run like a business, and like not just a business but a capitalistic money-making business that has no ethics whatsoever, it gives you what we have and what we're dealing with right now.
Well, Joy, sorry. Well, like I said, it's now this perpetuating cycle, because
Exactly.
they've created a space where we don't trust the media anymore. So you're going to go to the alternative sources. You're going to go to social media. Why? Because people are relatable. People like Anne, they speak your language, they speak to you, they're everyday people. They seem to have, knowledge beyond, they will do the research. So you trust them, right? But here's the thing, the derangers are damaged, right? So now the mainstream media have created a space where derangement is lucrative. The 5M business model, maligning Meghan Markle makes money. It is incredibly lucrative. So now they have competition. So now they cannot hold themselves as, okay, we are the legacy media, we are the mainstream media, we have the facts. They are fighting for the click money the same way with the online derangers that are pushing crap. The online derangers, listen, I'm not even mad at them because they have nothing to lose, right? They have nothing to lose. They don't owe us anything, right? But the media now, they are chasing that. So they've created a cycle. So you create a monster, you is what we call scorched earth. So you dirty the air, you destroy everything, and now you have to breathe in the craziness, and you upset that you have to
Yes.
breathe in it, and you're constant. You created it, so now they have to go back to these clickbaity stories, which doesn't even have a shred of common sense. And now, again, I said I don't worry about the derangers, because the internet sometimes doesn't forget, unless we just forget when we want to, right? But my thing is, the mainstream media is what is going to be set in history. So 50, 100 years from now, when people do research on my Black princess, they are going to look to these clickbaity, idiotic articles in the mainstream media. And that is what pisses me off. That is where they're going to go, and I feel kind of frustrated and a bit, how to put it, um, was it what I
So,
feel stifled, that we in the squad 50 years from now, will they know that we put up a fight? Will they know that we said, no, you're not going to abuse and be racist with impunity? We
I
need to
think
write a
they
book about
will.
us. I
I
don't
I'd like
know.
to. I'd like to
I know
hope
his
that they
book,
would.
his
Well, I
book
mean,
and the
the
docu
amount
series.
the amount of me. Well, first and foremost, Harry and Meghan have, or Harry at least, has spoken a lot for himself in his book. In the Me You Can't See, in the Oprah documentary. Megan also spoke in the Oprah documentary, and I think perhaps in her own time she may have, you know, some kind of book or something out. And with the amount of media that we've created and we continue to create, and you know, more people coming into this space, and you know, I do think that there will be some pushback and some information there, and I think there will be points where people can look back on, like for example with the upcoming court case. I think that will put a huge dent in the media's agenda, hopefully, as we maybe move towards, you know, some accountability for the press. So I wouldn't lose hope, Rahini. I do think that both sides of the story in one way or another will get told, but I just wanted to let YM Droid come in as well. Hi, YM.
Hello. Hey, Rohini. Hey, Lightside.
Hey, I can't
Hey,
just say
guys.
something really quick, just really quickly. I just want to say, Rohini, to Anne's point, there will be a reset. There's going to be there's a cultural reset happening right now, which is why it feels like so tumultuous, right? And to Anne's point, yes, I believe we're going to look back like with history of any kind, and be able to tweeze out what the correct thing was that was supposed to happen at the time, and the wrongs that also happened at the time. So don't lose hope. I feel like this needs to happen for a reset and for just a rewashing of all the dirtiness that not only the media in the UK that's been going on, but here in the United States as well. But YM, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think that in addition to, well, certainly I think what's happening in the US, I am just going to exist in my confident aspiration that we're going to have our first female president pretty soon. And I think that what comes out of the things that she does is going to spill over, because I think there are enough people who are just so sick of hearing all of this stuff, or who finally reach some level of cognitive dissonance with the things that are put out there, that they just start to, that some of them, not all of them, there's always going to be idiots, but I think that some of them are going to start to reject it. If you look at some of the stories that are coming out about the monarchy and their pay increase and how much they're spending, contrasted with the cuts to, I believe, what is it, like electricity subsidies and heating subsidies for the winter, that while, you know, this Ozempic monarchy, which is slimmed down to working royals who don't work, we'll give Mumbles a pass because, you know, she's still on sick leave. But what about the others? You know, these people who were supposed to be the vigorous face of the working monarchy, what's their excuse? Seriously, like they're just, you know, kind of peacocking around. You know, some of them are growing struggle beards and looking like a person you would want to avoid at a campsite. Oh, sorry. Did you want to chime in?
No, I was just laughing to myself. Carry on.
Sorry.
Okay. It's been a while. Sorry. Back in public. I'm trying to keep it classy, but well, I mean, so really, I think when you look. So you're going to look back, or people will look back on this, and they're going to see one royal couple, and, you know, Harry is royal by birth, so no titles, no anything are going to take that away from him, despite their best efforts. But you see one royal couple going to places where they are welcomed, where people are excited to greet them, where they put an effort into understanding the culture, contributing to it, and assisting it in some way. And then you have others who can't get a travel pass out of the country because the last time that they went, they messed things up so bad that everyone's deciding, like, nope, we don't want anything to do with these people anymore. And I think it'll be obvious. And that's the thing that titles and whatever they come up with, the order of the fantastic order of the, I don't know, hierarchy of the garter, that they decide to award themselves with more awards for, that they're not going to be able to touch that. And I think it's just going to become obvious in the headlines, you know, like you've got Meghan and Harry constantly doing something while you have Will and his wife and Charles and his horse not doing anything. I mean, well, there was that incident with horses like running out and biting people, so maybe Camilla's been doing something, but nothing that they could really brag about or, you know, write down in history books. So I think it's going to be clear. Rohini, don't get frustrated. I know that it's annoying when you encounter that level of stupidity. And sometimes it's actual ignorance. And let me contrast ignorance and stupidity. Stupidity is when you know better and you're willfully just continuing to do the same dumb stuff. And that's the tabloid media for sure. And I suspect that some of them don't even really believe in what they're putting out there, but they need to get a check. And for whatever, you know, kind of pence the royals are tossing at them, that check clears. But for a lot of other people, they are not as plugged in. Maybe they don't pay attention quite as much. But they, you know, like they hear just the negative headlines and that's all that they remember. That's the last thing they remember hearing about them. So it is somewhat effective, I think, for those people. But like when it comes to the people who actually dig into the history, I think it's going to be a wildly, wildly unflattering portrait of Charles, of William, and that entire system. When you contrast just, you know, like how well Meghan and Harry have done and all the success that they enjoy after they've told that institution, we're out and you do you, we're going to do us, and they are doing just fine. It's going to be obvious, I think, to anyone who digs into it. And that's what's going to be really embarrassing, is that the royals aren't going to be able to spin their way out of it. Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah, no, I mean, you made some really good points, because even now, you know, look at the way, even though The Crown, the last 2 seasons were absolutely horribly done and, you know, tried to be a little bit more pro-monarchy, it still made, you know, people remember what happened to Diana, look into it, maybe people who didn't really know the story, and for those who did, it, you know, it reminded them of it all. And, you know, especially if you look at all the rehabilitation work that they've tried to do with Camilla, I do think media like The Crown has basically just unraveled all of that, or revealed that that PR was never really effective in the first place.
I mean, and, you know, while she's trying to gather all of the oats and carrots in England for her own personal gain and for the future of her little ponies, I mean, you know, you can't point to anything that she's actively done to change the narrative, other than cozying up to these weird editors, you know, to this nasty pervert guy who's having dreams about teeth gnashing and all of this other stuff, you know, like other than I can't remember the name of unimportant people, but other than cozying up to these jackholes and bootlickers, what has she actually done? You can't point to a single patronage that Camilla has taken over that's outshone any of the work that Diana did. You can't point to her actually putting on a convincing human mask and interacting with human children in a way that made them enjoy her to outshine the effect that Diana had as soon as she picked up a baby or held hands with a little girl, while you've got Camilla picking at the sleeve of children like, oh my goodness, like, you know, I've never been around humans. Where's their tail? Where are their horseshoes? I don't know what's going on with that lady, but whatever it is, she can't seem to figure out humanity. And the same for the rest of them. They get around people and it's just the weirdest, like craziest experience that you ever met. You're like, have you ever met real people, you know, with real experiences? And outside of Harry, they're all like aliens who just recently landed here who are still desperately trying to figure things out. It's it's insane that they think that somehow like that's not the center of their problem. The problem is that they're just weird AF. they, you know, they just don't get it. And they spend all of their time, oh, well, we need to make a plot against Harry. And the problem is that Harry and his normal ways of wanting to be with someone who loves him and doesn't recoil from his touch in public and can, you know, have conversations and express affection without bringing up feminine hygiene products. He's the problem. Meanwhile, you know, like, I don't know if there are classes that they could take or coaching, whatever it is. I mean, say what you will about Queen Elizabeth, but at least she, over her years, figured out enough to be able to put up somewhat of a convincing mask. And these people are just, you know, like, they can't figure out how to interact with each other. They can't figure out how to interact with the public. And then when one person like a Diana or like a Harry comes along who does, it's just, oh, they're outshining us. And it's like, duh, because they have mastered connecting with people. They've mastered humanity. They've mastered, you know, a caring. I don't doubt Harry's sincerity, but at least pretending. You know, none of the experiences that they've had seem to indicate that. William, you know, for his little air pilot thing, if he wanted to pretend, could at least, you know, step into that in some way. But what does he do while Harry's setting up, like, you know, kind of massive global events for wounded veterans and stuff? He goes to a gala. He brings in an actor who once played a pilot and in the movies and was cool 20 years ago and is like, yeah, that'll do it. That's going to make me popular. That's going to make people like me. Look at who I know. Look at all the galas that I can dress up and go to. You know, and at a certain point, you really just have to look at them like, are you really this stupid? And time again, they just keep going. Yeah. Hold my pint. Let me do something, you know, like something even dumber than next time, and complain about it and, you know, recycle that to my favorite tabloid editor and get them to write a story about how, you know, how odd Harry is because he loves his wife and they're affectionate with each other in public. It's, oh my goodness. It's once you actually look at it, it's so ridiculous. And that's why I'm not worried too much about the future, because for the people who do look into that stuff, it's going to be so apparent that something with those people is just not right. Like that whole family. I'll give Anne a pass. One, because she shares your name. Two, because she seems like, after Harry, the least odd out of all of them. But man, just what a bunch of weirdos.
No, I would actually have to disagree with that. Anne is shady as hell, and she has said some rather problematic things. I mean, I remember one time, not too long ago, she was, you know, I think she was asked either about slavery or reparations or something like that, and she just kind of like tutted and rolled her eyes. So I think that she's very, very good at keeping an air of respectability about her, a lot better maybe than some of the other royals. But I don't think she's honestly, you know, any better. And also for all of the so-called work that she does, 400 events?
Oh, no, we're not counting that. Yeah, like all of the ribbon cuttings and smiling and waving. And, you know, but the thing is, you then look at William like, okay, so your wife allegedly has cancer. What exactly are you doing? Are you trying to cure it? Like, is that your new mission? You know, like you're going to spend $500 on cancer research and cure cancer. And that's, you know, like you've been in the lab so long that now you look like you can easily blend in with one of the homeless people you're allegedly trying to help. Like, what's happening there? What exactly are you doing? You're not even giving people a smile and a wave here and there anymore. You're just
completely disappeared, actually, despite the fact that we were going to end homelessness, being peace in the Middle East, help the environment, stop the polar bears from dying, you know, clean up the river in New York. We were going to do all of that, but he's just disappeared. But thank you so much for YM Droid for chiming in. Did anybody, before I let Karen speak, did anybody else want to like jump on anything that YM Droid had said? You're keeping
Just
people laughing in the comments. Why Android?
yeah, no, I'm laughing. I'm cracking up too because YM is hilarious. The struggle beard thing. I almost forgot that William was growing a beard out, and a part of me is like, how much like Harry is he trying to look? But going back to the point just now, that thought just popped into my head when YM was talking about the royal family, and I thought to myself, if they appear so weird and so uncomfortable and just out of it in public, right? Can you imagine how bad it is in private? Can any of y'all just fathom how daunting it is these
You
people
just,
are?
oh my
I mean,
goodness,
look,
you just know that
right?
William, yeah, you know,
Going
you
back
know
to
that
the
William has a
old
person to go over and like and gently pat Kate's head or something when she's feeling down. Oh, excuse me. Can you go over and stroke the princess's hair? Because you know that he's not doing it. I mean, it's just there's such weirdos and they just don't seem to get that. Like they have access to movies, they have access to television so that they could possibly like they can at least visualize how other people interact, and it just seems so foreign to them. It's like, oh my goodness, like these people are just strange. These people are just really, really strange. And yeah, like obviously William wants to be Harry. I'm seriously just waiting for him to get like a red man unit and some Just for Men ginger edition and like dye the beard or something to try to make it look like, yeah, like and I can do ginger too. He would look absolutely ridiculous, but you know there's some vision boards in his room that probably have a couple of mock-ups or some AI generations that that they've convinced him he could pull off. He would look ridiculous as usual, but oh my goodness, like I said, they're just so weird. Like if you get past the malevolence of it all and then just step back and look, and honestly, it would be funny if people weren't getting hurt. If they had not been so vicious to Meghan, to Harry, to the point that they basically have to come into the country in secret, only in certain places, like can't really go out for legitimate fear of their safety, then it would all just be hilarious. And honestly, I've been thinking about starting a channel. I feel like I wouldn't have the time to keep up with it, but I just want to make one video that's like, violent brother who throws dog dishes at brother doesn't understand why no one wants to be around him. I mean, the real headlines just write themselves because these people are so odd and so out of it that I honestly applaud the tabloid media for some level of creativity and being able to spin their BS into something resembling something that would make them seem normal or make them seem like the victims of, oh my goodness, like these poor people with or these poor people without personalities. They've just been the victims of these incredibly well-liked and generous human beings. Can you imagine? Can you please feel sorry for these multi-millionaires who are sitting here wiping their tears away with dollar bills or pound notes and just crying into their gold-plated Wheaties because no one likes them as much as they like the person who goes out and interacts with the public. It's like, do you hear yourself? Do you all hear?
To answer your question, like, can you imagine, how weird it is to be around these people? I was trying to say earlier, I mean, just look at pictures of Meghan's face, like in older, public events, even when she's really trying to be, demure and keep a straight face possible, like there were definitely moments where you could just see like she is just suffering. Like the body language is saying everything. And there's a couple of events actually, like from the past, I'm absolutely convinced that one day like stories are going to come out. I remember like the first tripping that Meghan did where she was wearing that pink outfit. I always look back to pictures of them when they were on the balcony, and like her facial expression and her body language was saying a lot. So you really just, it's like you get a sense of how freaky and weird it is, but you would never really know until you've lived it. And Harry definitely gave us an insight, because how do you operate both as a business and, you know, as a family and as these public figures and also these political figures. I mean, it's just such a weird and crazy dynamic, and it's very, very much cult-like. But I'm gonna let Karen speak. Thank you so much.
To laugh. Oh,
I think we're all trying hard not to laugh. No, laugh away, laugh away.
I've been choking with laugh here, but I'm in work, so I can't laugh too hard. Um, but you know, to the point about the media's new narrative about William, be the bigger brother, you know, apologize. The media, I wonder if they're slowly realizing they backed the wrong horse. They're slowly realizing that they backed the wrong horse, because if you
Wait, which media? The UK media?
the UK media, if
Nah, they haven't
you
learned anything. They have
no,
not.
I mean, this is the thing. If you thought that one day Kate and William would be this beautiful couple that everybody would fawn over, I say to you, you weren't paying attention at the beginning. You were not paying attention. And take it from a recovering royalist. From the start, Kate was a dud. From the start.
She had shiny hair.
That's
YM,
something.
stop.
Stop it.
No, but
All right,
seriously, you had little Damien running around in William. I'm sorry, that's all I'm gonna say. Karen, hi, how are you doing?
Well, do you know, to follow on from your point, Rahini, if you have had a particular system going on for so long and it's operated in the way it's operated, well, why would they think anything else? And it shows the bubble that they're in, and obviously we're not in the bubble, so we could see it from the very, very beginning. But for them in their bubble, why would they think anything else? Why would they think anything other than, you know, William's going to be king, Kate's going to be queen, you know, with her shiny hair, and they're going to dazzle everyone. And, you know, that in the bubble that they're in, they were never thinking, oh, we have to be more progressive. We have to try and evolve with the times. Because to be honest, even when William and Kate got married, there was still very much an air of like this fairy tale coming to life. You have to admit, even at that time, there was still that you know, fairy tale like illusion was still there. It's only as time kind of went on that you kind of realize, okay, no, this isn't, you know, the bright, sparkling, young, youthful, progressive monarchy that we maybe thought it would be. And it's only when Meghan came in that became so much more obvious. And, you know, Meghan coming in, despite the fact that she was just coming in by herself, as herself, authentically created like this new competition where traditionally there had never been a competition before. Okay, but Karen, I'm gonna let you come up and say something because you haven't spoken yet.
Yes, hi guys. I am really enjoying this. I was earning for, you know, a constructive conversation for the longest while. So I am really, really enjoying this. You guys can hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
go on.
Well, okay. Yeah. Going off on what you just said, Anne, because there was a lot of other ones before that I, you know, had stuff on, and, you know, as stuff came up, I keep forgetting. But going off of what you just said, you know, you're right. For years, you know, it was just one system. And Kate coming in and not knowing, you know, anything. Basically, with Kate and William marriage, it was basically, you know, something that Charles pushed and was supposed to boost the monarchy after, you know, Princess Diana's passing, and trying to keep up that you know, that momentum, because, you know, nothing was going on with him. and they needed a boost. That's why, she's got, Princess Diana's ring, and, she was supposed to be, someone coming in to kind of, replace, Princess Diana. And so, and at the same time, you have to remember that one of the issue with Princess Diana, Charles was jealous of her because of how good she was, how smart she was, and how, everyone likes her. So of course, they're not going to bring in somebody to to overshadow William and overshadow the monarchy. Everybody had to stay in their place because this is the system. They're not supposed to overshadow the senior heirs and whoever the level up there, especially the queen. So this system has been going on, all the time. So Kate figured, well, okay, well, she just have to come out, walk and smile, and that's it. She don't have to do anything. And here comes Meghan. and throw whole fire underneath every one of them and expose how dumb every one of them are. Harry was there all the time. Harry knew what was going on. Harry was smarter. You go back and you look at all the stuff that Harry was doing, and you look at it and you said, why weren't they looking at him? Why weren't they listening to him? Why weren't they doing all this stuff? But he wasn't getting credit for any of it. He was just a spare. And everyone think, well, they put it out there. He's an idiot. He's a this. He's a that. Harry was the smartest person in that place. He was so smart that if they were smart, they would have followed him. Okay, because he was putting out so much stuff. The queen knew what Harry was doing out there, and she knows that Harry understood. Harry understood it. That's why she sent him out to do most of her work. So William coming out now, and it's such a joke when I'm looking at it and I'm saying this is supposed to be the next king. This is the person who's supposed to be the heir for the throne and be the next king. This is why I like O'Brien, because he comes out. You're talking about real media and stuff. He's the only one that's coming out and speaking the truth, and doing real reporting and calling it as it is. All the rest of them are just, I don't know what they're paying them for. I don't know what kind of media it is out there. And like you said, it's gone from, a media that you can trust to a media that everyone is looking for clicks and money and stuff like that, because they're coming out and they're doing all this spin doctors and all this, fake reporting and everything. And the system that the monarchy have going, that's, just say something to make me look good. Just tell a lie. Just do whatever it is that you have to do. Okay? And just let the people believe, because you're the media that we put out there and say, well, okay, you're a royal correspondent or whatever it is, and because you have that behind your name, they're going to believe you, because this is a system that we built up. Like Anne said, it's not until Harry and Meghan, came out and, she started to realize what was really going on there, and, realize that the news that she was getting was not the real news, because, the system that they have in England is the people who are in captivity. Whatever it is that they put out there for them to, to say, well, okay, put this in the news. This is what you listen to. This is what you go by. We're going to manipulate you. We're going to, it's us that you have to believe. It's like to say, really frustration right now is the frustration that I had when this whole thing started. I couldn't understand it. I really, really couldn't understand it, because I'm going from a place of common sense. I'm going from a place of, these people are educated. What is it that I am missing? What is it that I'm not getting that's going on here? Because I can see everything. I can see what's happening. I went to school. I know right from wrong. I know, we're taught by our parents, to look out for the, for the boogeyman, for the man who's going to lie to you, who's going to say, well, okay, give you candies, and kind of, try to kidnap you by, giving you candies or stuff like that. They're telling you don't take candy from anybody and stuff like that. This is a place I'm coming from, and here there's a news and a press and reporters who I'm supposed to be trusting, who's supposed to be giving me the news, and they're giving me a bunch of garbage that I can see right through it. Okay, because I have common sense, and these people are, for some reason, the public is not getting it. The English public is not getting it. And I'm saying, you guys are being fed stuff. And it's like I'm shouting to the TV, I'm shouting to the, and nobody's hearing me. So, I got to a point where I felt that, something for my own mental state, I just have to, put it in this box and say, something, this is how they are. They're living in this bubble and in this world. And there's a whole other world going on over here. And, so this is how we have to separate it. And,
but
and
look at
so that I can have that peace of mind, but
look at how far we have come though, Karen. Look at how far we have come though. Look at how far we have come though since then to, at least give people an alternative space to, listen and talk. And actually, I think also, like, being in the squad, we do kind of get trapped in our own royal bubble. There are other social commentators online who aren't necessarily Sussex Squad, who aren't even really like royal followers or royal commentators. They do a lot of content, and in fact, some of their content gets more views than those of us in the royal space. You look at somebody like Murad Morali, who looks, he's more like reality TV and stuff like that. He also does a lot of content on the royals. I saw a video from somebody who was in a religious cult, and I think somebody had asked her about Harry and Meghan, and I think they had made like a really skanky comment, like, oh, Harry seems like he's, in a daze and under control. And she actually was, this is a non-squaddy, she actually responded by saying, no, as somebody who comes from a cult and who was raised in a cult, I can tell you that actually Harry was raised in a cult and he escaped. And Meghan helped him escape. And this is someone who, doesn't make any type of royal content. And that video got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. So, it can be very frustrating, to be in our space, because obviously, like, we love Harry and Meghan, but I always keep hope that people are not only just, seeing how much of the last 6 or 7 years has just been one big lie, but also the implications, even if you don't care about Harry and Meghan and the royal family, the implications of that, looking at the wider press media, especially in the UK. And that really is the most important thing over anything. Yes, Harry and Meghan being vindicated, important, of course, and them, being able to walk through this world, safely without constantly being battered in the press. But, from a wider perspective, making people understand how what's been happening with the royals and with Harry and Meghan, it's just a symptom of a much bigger problem. But thanks so much for your input, Karen. I just wanted to wrap things up. So, Rahini, why I'm joined. Any of you want to just add some last couple points before we start wrapping up? Because we're almost an hour and a half. I think it's the longest podcast I've done for a while. So, anyone?
Don't feel bad. So Baron did a podcast for 5 hours already with us. So,
okay. Oh wow.
We were there for 5 hours. We had a good time,
Baron, if you're listening, I hope you're doing better.
Yeah, hi Baron. I hope you feel better. Just to say one final thing, because my mic got cut off earlier. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's very telling when you have Meghan, who came into this and who, simply by virtue of who she is and what she stands for, could outshine this 1,000-year-old institution. Because I'm pretty sure that when she first got in, she probably saw the royal the royal facade as, something exciting, that's okay, I could reach further, I could do more, I could do more, because she's been doing this since she was a child. So now when you have the royal bona fides, you have the royal machine behind you, you would think, wow, I could do so much. And it tells me that she did have, I do believe her when she said she didn't Google him and she didn't look and do any major research. Because if she did, to be honest, she would have found out that Princess Diana tried to do the same thing. She saw the royal family as this massive machine for something really good, this massive force for good in the world that it could be. And she tried to use it because even she has said it before, if people are looking at me, then they're going to see what I am talking about, what I'm looking at. If I have a voice, I am going to speak on things that matter because people listen to me, right? So I am sure that's probably what Megan was thinking. Oh my goodness, my voice could be amplified with the royal machine. Only to realize that the royal machine is this self-serving, incestuous cesspool of bald-headed, useless people, right? That have nothing better to do but to smile and wave, and they can't even do that because, to your point when you're talking about Princess Anne and her smile and wave. Listen, William can't even smile and wave. He can't even do that, right? Because what you been doing? What you been doing? Listen to me. The most work Kate ever did was when she was a part of the Fab Four. She had not done as much work before, and she has not done as much since. So this idea that, oh, they're doing, even by the narrow limited standards of the work in lowercase and small quotation marks, they still can't do that right. Why? Because they simply don't care. They simply don't care. And you know, Princess Diana's empathy, her love was a major threat to an institution that is lacking in empathy. It's lacking in love. I'm sorry. This is it's a loveless place. It's a miracle that Harry had enough love for Meghan. It's a miracle. Maybe because he spent more time with normal, real people than with them. Because he said it more than once, my father says I spend more time in Africa than here, because there was love in Africa. There wasn't love in the royal family, and it's a very sad and telling thing when all Meghan had to do is exist, and she is a threat to this 1,000-year-old institution. It tells us just how fragile and how unwanted and useless or not fit for purpose it really, really is. And as a recovering royalist, I go to meetings, every Wednesday. As a recovering royalist, I can tell you, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's a really tough pill to swallow. It's as if I feel like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and God just see me and I'm naked, all me cocoa in the sun, and it is really sad. And unfortunately for um William and Kate, they cocoa in the sun. Everybody seeing them for who they really are, and like YM Joy said, there is nothing there. Not even from, listen. The I saw a TikToker, right, and all he does, I swear to you, all he does is garden. And this man have 50,000 followers. He basic human stuff. There isn't even that. Listen, are we sure they're human? Are we sure maybe we should go into the conspiracy theories of the lizard people, because they're not even human. They're not even human, because even the most evil person have empathy, have love. They don't have that. And that is really, really upsetting. I'm not lying, I'm upsetting to see it. I'm frustrated. I feel like I've been lied to all my life about them. And it's really sad. It's really, really telling. And unfortunately for them, because that glare of the media, they cannot shake now. They cannot shake. The air of mystique is gone. We have
Oh
seen
yeah, that
behind the curtain. We
and that
have seen, there's
Frankenstein,
nothing there.
yeah, that
There's nothing
Frankenstein
there.
photo, the Frankenstein Photoshop photo definitely helped to kill the Mystique as well. Thank you so much, Rahini. I'll just go to YM Any like closing words?
Yeah. So I was actually just watching this next Netflix series called The Last Kingdom. And if you're not familiar with it, it's about England before it became England, when it was actually a bunch of smaller kingdoms. Back in those days, the line of succession still was within a family, but it would skip certain people who were not fit for purpose. Some of the first episodes were about the son of one king, where the king looked at him and was just like, nope, and knew that he wasn't up to the job, and basically handed it over to his brother. So it was more of a decision back in those days for councils and such, but it also had some merit or some basis in character of someone who would demonstrate the qualities of a good leader. Just saying, maybe you all want to go back to that. If you still want to hang on to a king, fine, but maybe just shake up the line of succession a little bit to working people who actually do some work and actually get out there and make a difference. It was fascinating, and I think just to take a look at that and compare it to now, and know that William is barely standing a chance now in the modern system, where everything is entirely by birthright, where no council is going to tell him that he can't be king because he doesn't demonstrate the character or the qualities of a king, and still manages not to fail at that. So again, just a interesting little historical tidbit of how we eventually got here. I guess too many of those people fell off of horses or something, and now one of their deep descendants is living every medieval horse's dream and is galloping through the palace with a crown on her head. So never say that dreams don't come true.
Thank you so much, YM for all your contributions today and for keeping us laughing. All right, light side, you can take us out. Any
I
last
just have
words?
something really quickly to say, because we're going on an hour and a half. This is one of your longest podcasts, but really quickly, the only thing I'm going to say is it is going to, on this day, September 2nd, 2024, Lightside said that it is going to get much, much worse for William and Kate and the entire world crew on the other side of the pond. Just wait for it going into next year. And Anne, thank you so much for hosting the space and having us. It was an incredible discussion, and looking forward to more coming up. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you so much, Lightside. Thank you so much, all of you. Oh my goodness. I just look back at how far we've come in terms of everything that Harry and Meghan's doing, how far we've come as a community. And I always try to keep a positive spirit. I do think we're moving in a good direction. It can sometimes feel frustrating, but remember that a lot of the stuff that comes out in the British tabloids is just recycling garbage for the derangers, and that's who they're feeding. Really, they want to keep their eyes and ears on what are Harry and Meghan doing, and just like they're feeding this dopamine addiction that they have, of just having this irrational hatred for these two people. And a lot of the people that dislike Harry and Meghan can't even tell you 100% why, and they like we were saying at the very beginning, they can't do any amount of self-reflection to actually stop and think, oh, maybe I've been fed certain messages to feel this way. Not just about Harry and Meghan, but just I think about celebrity figures in general. In the UK, it is a problem, and I think we'll actually have like a whole separate podcast on this, maybe actually looking at other celebrities and how the tabloid media have done this to other celebrities, and what it tells us about British culture in general. But anyway, let me not go off on a whole another tangent because we need to wrap up today. Thank you everyone for your contributions. Thank you everyone for coming and joining me. It was a very off the cuff podcast today, but I just love the way the conversations flowed. I love your conversations in the chat box. Please do send your prayers to Baron. I think this is the first time he's actually like really been ill and had to take a break. So I really do hope that he's okay and recovering. Also to Dorothy Ross, who's going through treatment at the moment as well. Please do send your prayers to her and all Squaddies going through anything. All right, let's dance our way out. And as Megan always says, good vibes only, y'all. My book is coming soon. Keep watching this space. Ciao.